What if I told you that a sitting member of Congress just got hit with a resolution to be censured and kicked off her committees because she mocked a man who was murdered for exercising his right to free speech? That's exactly what just happened, and trust me, this one's going to make your blood boil. Stick around because we're going to break down exactly what went down, who's behind it, and why it matters for every single American who still believes in respect, decency, and the First Amendment. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
What purpose, gentlewoman from South Carolina, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I rise to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. House Resolution 713, censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota and removing her from the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a man of deep faith, a husband, and a father to 2 young children. Whereas on September 10, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University while exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Whereas on September 11, 2025, one day after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar gave an interview on Zateo's town hall with Mehdi Hassan in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder. Whereas on September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar reposted a video on X, formerly known as Twitter, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk and those mourning his death. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X states Charlie Kirk is dead, and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at outgroups, demonizing those groups, and sicking his massive following on them. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a stochastic terrorist, an adamant transphobe. He denied the genocide happening in Palestine. He believed the subjugation of women, and in his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further blames Charlie Kirk for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 13 of the Rules of the House of Representatives provides a member, delegate, resident commissioner, officer, or employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect credibility on the House. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's actions in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk are reprehensible and affect the dignity and integrity of the proceedings of the House and do not reflect the credibility on the House. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee on Education and Workforce and removed from the Committee on the Budget of the House.
You don't want to miss this kind of truth-telling the mainstream media won't touch. So here's the story. Representative Ilhan Omar from Minnesota is now the target of a formal censure in Congress, House Resolution 713. Why? Because after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, she decided to go on camera and basically spit on his grave. Instead of offering condolences or even silence out of respect, she went on a show with Mehdi Hassan and implied that Charlie was somehow responsible for his own death. Then, To make it worse, she reposted a video calling him reprehensible, a terrorist, a transphobe, even saying he created his own monster that killed him. Let that sink in. A U.S. Congresswoman mocking a murdered man because he didn't agree with her politics. Charlie Kirk wasn't just another conservative voice. He was a husband, a father of two, and one of the few people who actually encouraged young Americans to engage in political debate without fear. Whether you agreed with him or not, he stood for something that used to matter in this country: freedom of speech. He believed in God, family, and the Constitution, and for that, he was demonized by the same radicals who now celebrate his death. Now think about what Omar did here. She didn't just disagree with Charlie's ideas, she endorsed a message that justified violence against political opponents. That's a line no American leader should ever cross. When you start blaming victims for being attacked because of their beliefs, you're not a representative, you're an instigator. And here's what's truly shameful. The same people preaching tolerance and inclusion are the first to spew hatred when someone stands up for faith, family, or conservative values. They call you a fascist for saying men and women are different. They call you a terrorist for supporting borders. They call you racist for loving your country. And now they'll smear the dead if it means keeping their political narrative alive. The resolution that was introduced is crystal clear. Omar's behavior does not reflect creditably on the House, and that's putting it mildly. Members of Congress swear an oath to uphold the dignity of the institution, not to weaponize their platform to mock a man who was killed while speaking on a college campus. Removing her from the committees on education and the budget isn't just a punishment, it's a necessity. You cannot sit on the committee shaping America's future if you openly disrespect the very foundation it was built on. Let's talk about what this means beyond just one politician. This is about what kind of country we're becoming. When a conservative like Charlie Kirk is gunned down for speaking and elected officials rush to blame him instead of the killer, we're witnessing moral rot. This isn't about left versus right anymore. It's about right versus wrong. It's about whether we still have a moral compass left. Charlie represented something deeper than politics. He symbolized courage in an age of cowardice. You may not have agreed with every word he said, but he stood on principle. And if standing on principle gets you killed, and your death gets mocked by someone sitting in Congress, then America needs to take a long, hard look at where we are heading. We should all be asking one question: what happened to decency? When did we decide that tragedy was a tool for political gain? Omar's comments were a disgrace not just to the House, but to the country. They show the contempt some on the far left have for anyone who won't bend to their ideology. They don't want unity, they want submission. So yes, I support the censure. I support removing her from committees. And I hope Congress follows through. Because if we keep allowing this kind of rhetoric to go unchecked, we're saying it's open season on conservatives, on Christians, patriots, and anyone who dares to speak freely. The truth is, Ilhan Omar's behavior after Charlie's assassination wasn't just insensitive, it was dangerous. It sends a message to radicals out there that political violence can be justified as long as it's against people the left hates. That is not what America stands for.